This is not just a teaser. This is a warning. Bridgerton Season 4 Part 2 is about to break Benedict Bridgerton in ways we have never seen before. And if you thought Part 1 was romantic and dreamy, the new teaser makes one thing painfully clear. The fantasy is officially over. Part 1 may have given us masquerade magic, longing glances, and the softness of a Cinderella story. But the teaser for Part 2 shifts the entire tone. The glitter is still there, the gowns are still breathtaking, the music still swells, but beneath all of it, there is tension, there is fear, and most importantly, there is heartbreak waiting to unfold. The teaser wastes no time reminding us that Benedict is still searching for the lady in silver, except now that search feels desperate rather than romantic. In Part 1, his longing felt almost poetic, like an artist chasing inspiration. But in these new glimpses, his obsession carries weight. He is no longer drifting through ballrooms with charm and ease. He looks restless, haunted, as if the fantasy he built in his mind is slowly collapsing under the pressure of reality. And the reality, of course, is Sophie. What makes this teaser absolutely heartbreaking is the way it frames Sophie's position in this story. In Part 1, we saw her dual existence, the dazzling mystery at the masquerade and the invisible maid downstairs. But Part 2 seems ready to strip away every illusion. The class divide is no longer subtle, it is loud, it is cruel, it is suffocating. We see glimpses of judgment in the Tun's eyes. We feel the walls closing in around her. And for the first time, it truly sinks in that loving Benedict could cost her everything. Benedict, on the other hand, is standing at the edge of a truth he is not prepared to face. The teaser hints that the reveal of Sophie's identity will not be gentle. This is not going to be a soft realization where everything magically falls into place. No, this looks messy, emotional, potentially devastating. Because Benedict has always believed himself to be different from the rigid society around him. He rejected its rules, he mocked its expectations. But loving someone beneath his station? That is the ultimate test of whether he truly meant all those rebellious words. And the most painful part? The teaser subtly suggests that he might hesitate. For 3 seasons, we watched Benedict resist the idea of cages. Marriage felt like confinement. Titles felt irrelevant. Status felt meaningless. But when confronted with the reality of choosing Sophie openly, will he finally realize that society's chains are heavier than he thought? Or will fear turn him into the very kind of man he never wanted to be? There is one particular shift in his expression throughout the teaser that feels intentional. The soft-eyed dreamer we met at the masquerade is slowly replaced by a man overwhelmed by consequences. His feelings for Sophie are undeniable. The chemistry between them still burns, but passion alone cannot erase hierarchy. It cannot silence gossip. It cannot protect Sophie from ruin. And that is where the heartbreak truly begins. Because unlike the fairy tale Benedict imagined, this story does not exist in isolation. Queen Charlotte is watching, Lady Violet is expecting, the Tun is whispering. And Sophie, who has already lived a life of survival and sacrifice, cannot afford to gamble everything on a love that might not fight for her loudly enough. The teaser makes it painfully clear that Part 2 will not rely on grand gestures alone. It will demand choices, it will demand courage, and it will expose whether Benedict Bridgerton is capable of loving not just boldly in private, but defiantly in public. But the biggest question the teaser leaves us with is this. When the masks are fully removed and the truth stands naked in the middle of the ballroom, will Benedict choose the fantasy he lost or the woman who has been standing in front of him all along?
And just when you think the teaser cannot possibly raise the stakes any higher, it shifts its focus to Sophie's perspective, and that is where the emotional damage truly settles in. Because this is not just a love story about a wealthy gentleman chasing a mysterious woman. This is a story about power, about risk, about what happens when someone who has nothing falls in love with someone who has everything. The teaser makes it painfully obvious that Sophie understands the danger long before Benedict does. There is a quiet strength in her expressions, but also a deep fear that she cannot fully hide anymore. In part one, she allowed herself one magical night, one dance, one moment to feel seen. But part two reminds us that real life does not operate like a masquerade. In the daylight, she is still a maid, still dependent, still vulnerable to the cruelty of those above her. And Lady Araminta Penwood's shadow feels darker than ever. The teaser hints that Sophie's position in that household is about to become even more unbearable. The power imbalance is no longer background noise, it is front and center. A single accusation, a single rumor could destroy her livelihood. And in a society where reputation is everything, Sophie does not have the luxury of scandal. Benedict might survive whispers, she would not. That difference changes everything. What makes this storyline so heartbreaking is the emotional imbalance between them. Benedict is in love with an idea he cannot let go of. He is still chasing the lady in silver, still clinging to the fantasy of that perfect night. Meanwhile, Sophie is standing right in front of him, loving him quietly, painfully, knowing that she can never fully claim him without risking her entire existence. The teaser subtly shows us moments of almost confession, almost truth, almost happiness, but every time they get close, something interrupts. A look from a noble, a reminder of status, a shift in tone. It feels intentional, as if the show is telling us that love alone is not strong enough to erase centuries of class division. And then there's Benedict's internal conflict, which looks far more intense in part two. For seasons, he has positioned himself as the different Bridgerton, the artistic one, the open-minded one, the brother who does not care about tradition. But the teaser forces us to question whether that independence was real or simply comfortable rebellion within safe limits. It's easy to criticize society when you are still benefiting from it. It is much harder to challenge it when you must sacrifice something tangible. Will he sacrifice his standing, his family's expectations, his comfort? Because loving Sophie openly would not just be romantic, it would be radical. The teaser also suggests tension within the Bridgerton household itself. Violet's expectations may have been playful in part one, but now there's an undercurrent of seriousness. A Bridgerton marriage is not just personal, it is political, strategic, observed by everyone. And if Benedict chooses a maid over a titled debutante, the consequences will ripple far beyond his own heart. That pressure is written all over him. There is a heaviness in the way he carries himself in these glimpses. The dreamy artist who once drifted through life now looks like a man cornered by reality. And Sophie sees it too. She sees the hesitation forming before he even speaks it. She sees the way he struggles between desire and duty. And that is what makes this teaser absolutely heartbreaking. Because the tragedy here is not a lack of love, it is the possibility that love might not be enough. The final moments of the teaser lean into this tension instead of resolving it. There is no reassurance, no comforting promise, just intensity, just the sense that a reveal is coming, and when it does, it will shatter the fragile balance they have been holding on to. If Benedict discovers that the lady in silver and the maid he has grown close to are the same woman, will he feel betrayed, relieved, or will the weight of society crash down so hard that he pulls away to protect himself? And more importantly, if he hesitates even for a second, will Sophie ever forgive him? And just when you think the teaser cannot possibly raise the stakes any higher, it shifts its focus to Sophie's perspective, and that is where the emotional damage truly settles in. Because this is not just a love story about a wealthy gentleman chasing a mysterious woman. This is a story about power, about risk, about what happens when someone who has nothing falls in love with someone who has everything. The teaser makes it painfully obvious that Sophie understands the danger long before Benedict does. There is a quiet strength in her expressions, but also a deep fear that she cannot fully hide anymore. In part one, she allowed herself one magical night, one dance, one moment to feel seen. But part two reminds us that real life does not operate like a masquerade. In the daylight, she is still a maid, still dependent, still vulnerable to the cruelty of those above her. And Lady Araminta Penwood's shadow feels darker than ever. The teaser hints that Sophie's position in that household is about to become even more unbearable. The power imbalance is no longer background noise, it is front and center. A single accusation,